We have a problem. Problem is that people stop learning. People leave yeshiva, and it creates a certain issue. So in order to solve the problem, we need to address or to understand, by the way, I like your glasses. I need to understand what exactly is the process that causes this phenomenon. What's going on here? To tell you, do I have answers for that? I can tell you right away, no, I don't. But we should be aware of the process and to see what happens. So we know that before this week we're going to read about the Meraglim, Shlach Lecha, the Meraglim, and the spies, and so on and so on. So before the whole ordeal with the 12 spies that Moshe Rabbeinu sent to the desert, Rashi says that there was another, it was already decreed, and we always attribute to the fact that Bnei Israel had to spin around in the desert for 40 years because of that. However, according to Rashi, and that really has to do with last week's parasha and even the parasha before that, it was already decreed upon Bnei Israel that they're going to be delayed in the desert and they're not going to enter the land of Israel according to the original schedule date that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had in mind. Now, what I'm going to tell you now, like for example, when we talk about Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, or is it known the Promised Land, we have this in mind that it's not always necessarily a specific location, but rather also let's try to apply it to a state of being, what we call the Promised Land. Okay. So the original date was 3 days after they started the journey. However, this delay was not so great. It's only 3 days delay, or it was a little delay, like a little hiccup in the road, but it wasn't as big as the delay of 40 years that caused because of the spies. But in any case, it shows the severity of the sin of Bnei Israel. Something happened, and we skip it, and we never learn from that. So let's look at the parasha. I don't understand. Let's look at the parasha of what is it called, the chet of the mitonenim. Le'itonen, we'll see what it is, but I'm just going to give you a side note, and excuse the association. The word in Hebrew, first of all, the Torah hates useless and purposeless things. The biggest curse that you will find in the Torah, bless you, the biggest curse you find in the Torah is when somebody is being called Ben Bli Ya'al, the son of a person with no useless person. That's the biggest curse that the Torah can come up with. Not your mother is this, Ben Bli Ya'al, a useless person. And it comes to think about it, like, look at things from the eyes of the Bible, the eyes of the Torah, you'll see things completely different. The Hebrew word for masturbation is called onenut. The word onen comes first of all from Er and Onan, in the children of Yehuda. And Onan is, the whole concept is basically goes after him, because what he would do, he went with Tamar, but he would spill his seeds outside. So the word onenut, masturbation in Hebrew, means a useless act. I mean, what are you doing? So here also, very interesting, those people who complain, the complainers, are called mitonenim. Now let's see exactly if it can lead us anywhere. And it says the following, V'yihi ha'am kem mitonenim, and the people were like the complainers, Ra be'oznei Hashem, it was bad in the ears of God. Vayishma Hashem, and God heard them. Vayichar apo, he got really angry. Vativ'ar b'hem esh Hashem, and the fire of God was spilled upon them. V'tochal b'ktzei ha'machaneh, and it consumed the edges of the encampment. Now you'll see, this is very symbolic. Vayitzak ha'am el Moshe, and the people called upon Moshe. Vayitpalel Moshe el Hashem, and Moshe prayed to God. Vatishka esh, and the fire subsided. Vayikra Hashem ha'makom ha'u, and the name of the place was Tav'era, burning place or combustion. Why? Ki ba'ara bam esh Hashem, because the fire of God was burning inside of them or within them. I'm just like, I don't know, that's something is weird here. Says Rashi, kem mitonenim, like mitonenim, en mitonenim ela lashon alila. Alila means a plot. So the word mitonenim means it's a plot. What does it mean it's a plot? Plot means that I'm coming up with something. There's nothing really there. So maybe I can learn something from here. To complain, lehitlonen, is maybe I have a reason, good enough or not bad enough or not good enough, but I have a reason. Lehitonen is I'm complaining with no reason. God understands that we're weak, Oh man, I'm tired, I'm old. Okay, you mean you're old? Go ahead and run. But yeah, I understand you're weak. But to complain with no reason, God would not tolerate that. It's pointless. So it says, Lashon alila, mevakshim halila. They're looking for a reason. They're looking for a plot. Eich lifrosh me'achorei hamakom. The reason why they're complaining, they were looking for a reason to leave God behind. They were looking to, as we call it, to go off the derech. They were making up excuses. V'chen hu omer b'Shimshon. That's what it says in Shimshon in Judges chapter
14.
Wow, right on the spot.
I know it is.
Yeah, pasuk?
I don't know.
Daled. Oh, very good. Idan. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Idan. Why? Ki to'ana hu mevakesh. To'ana hu mevakesh. He is looking for a reason. There's no reason. He is looking for a reason. And that says, Ra be'oznei Hashem. And that is bad in the eyes of Hashem. To'ana she'i ra'a be'oznei Hashem, shemitchavnim shetavo be'oznav ve'yaknit. They want to complain, to kind of put this in God's ear. Or in the eye, and God doesn't like it. Amru, oy lanu. Kama lavatnu bederech hazo shlosha yamim. Oh my goodness, how much did he have to go for 3 days? Oh my God, 3 days we were walking. Well, what do you want to do? You want to get the American airline to bring you? What do you want to do? So you walk for 3 days, but you're better off in Egypt? Yes, we were better off in Egypt. Well, that's the attitude. Shelo nachnu mi'inui adech. We didn't rest from the hardship of the road. I don't know if you remember this, but everybody says this. Freedom is not free. Well, you got to, at least, for crying out loud, at least walk. I guess that's where the concept comes that we're going to, when the redemption comes, we're going to fly on eagle's wings to Israel. Because God doesn't want to hear us complaining, oh, it's too long. But what are we going to say now? Oh, the flight is too, we don't want to go fly free on, United Airline or El Al or whatever it is. Please, beam me, Scotty. So God said, okay, but in other words, if you want to find a reason to complain, you're always going to find. But is there any reason to complain? Most of the time, there isn't. Most of the time, there isn't. So therefore, their complaint was just an excuse to so-called start with God. He took us for 3 days. We walked in the desert for 3 days. It's not for me. You know what, God? Thank you very much, but no thank you. I'm out of here. Now let's see where it takes us, this whole concept. So Rashi explained to us that what they came was false complaint, and the real reason for that complaint was because they walked a little too fast. And based on those words, we need to understand what's the connection between that sin of complaining to the delay that they had as a result of that. Guys, there's cause and effect. The laws of nature, physics, that's cause and effect. Cause and effect. You did something, there's a. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu made their way faster, right? He wanted to go faster. He wanted them to go quick to Eretz Israel in order for them to merit the holiness of the land so they could do the mitzvot and so on and so forth as soon as possible. But Bnei Israel said, no, that's not for us. And they start to complain. And by doing so what's so bad about it? But by doing so, they're saying, we don't really desire to go to Israel. We don't really desire to go to Israel. And what's the whole reason to go to Israel? To learn Torah, to serve Hashem. So not wanting to go to Israel, because it's all too far, that's a problem with actually serving Hashem. The root of the core of the issue is not the length of the road, the fast they went. In a way, not even entering the land. The core of it, the point, is not willing to serve God. So it says based on the pasuk what we learned when we read last week, it says shesaru me'achorei Hashem. They saru, lasur is to break away from following God. Me'achorei Hashem. God leads our way and we following Him. And that's what the Tosfot says. The Tosfot says, by the way, that's in Masechet Shabbat, in Daf Kuftet Zayin. It says, "Ve'ita b'midrashot u'mishum shelo matzinu shenikra Hashem rak makom bet hamikdash yitkasher leolam." So what does it mean? They say they moved away from the mountain of God, but we all know that the mountain of God is only one place. That's the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So what does it mean they went away from Hashem? I mean, they were in around Mount Sinai for a while. So what does it mean? So it says leolam, right? That's the only place, the Temple Mount. Aval makom shenitna bo Torah, the place that is called, that the Torah was given, which is Mount Sinai, is not called Har Elohim, right? It was called also Har Chorev and Har Sinai and so on and so forth. Therefore, the Medrash tells us, and I'm quoting Tosfot, Darshu shenasu me'achorei Hashem. They ran away from God. They didn't run away from the mountain. They were not so eager to go to Israel. They ran away from God. Says the Tosfot, Ketinok, it's a famous analogy, Ketinok haboreach mibet hasefer levatel midivrei Torah. Like a guy is in Yeshiva, and he decides to run away from school, where he learns Torah. Ki minisiatam mehar Sinai. Going away. So, okay, how long are we going to stay here? Let's pack up. Shaya bet hamidrash shelaim. Mount Sinai was the yeshiva, was bet medrash. Na'asu bate knisiyot shel avodah zarah. From going over there, they start going after. They made themselves. Where did they go? For avodah zarah. And what was that? Leilach achar ta'avat libam. To go after the desire of their hearts. And it says, the mirosh chodesh Sivan b'shana rishona, from the first year of the month of Sivan, sheba'u leSinai, they came to Mount Sinai, ad chaf iyar b'shana shniya, until the 20th of Iyar, on the second year. Ayu bebet hasefer, they were in school. In other words, they were learning Torah in Har Sinai. Lo chat'u, there was no sin. Ad achar shechatu miyad b'mit'oninim v'shiluach hameraglim. Then all of a sudden, something snapped, and they started to complain for no reason, and then the whole ordeal with the spies that had happened. V'chol hashar, and all the rest other things. V'amru, the derech gimel yamim b'midbar, and Doctor says, 3 days in the desert, that was too much for us. עד שלא ילינו ג' ימים בלא תורה, שלא תתחזק להם ביטול תורה בג' ימים כמפורש בחידושנו שם. In other words, they said, if we're going to be going, we're going to go, they start going for 3 days. 3 days without Torah. 3 days without Torah, you have a chazakah. It already became a pattern that you're not going to be learning Torah. שנאמר, תעזבנו יום, יעזבך יומיים. You left Torah for 1 day, it would leave you for 2 days. Together it's 3 days. Your history, baby. Your history. So, לפי שהם סרו ממנו בדברי תורה דרך ג' ימים, so they didn't learn Torah for 3 days, וזה פורענות ראשונה. Now, you know, in last week's parasha, we had 2 opposite noons, right? There's a parasha there that it's weird. Ve'yi bin So'aron. There's noon going this way and there's noon going that way before the parasha. You know what I'm saying, right? All of you. Oh my goodness. It's in the Chumash, by the way. So I can tell you're not following the Chumash on Shabbos. So you didn't see it? Ask for a refund, for your Chumash is not good. So, and there was 2 Puraniyot. And then all of a sudden we had it. And what was the thing? Right? ויהי בנשוא אהרון ישראל, שאמר הכתוב ויהי בנשוא אהרון להרחיק עצמו מהם דרך ג' ימים, כדכתיב לאל, שזה היה בעבור עונשן שהרחיקו עצמם מבית הספר ג' ימים. What happened here? There was a whole group of people. You know, one guy usually would not go by himself to play hooky from school. If he will be at home. But he would not go to school and then leave school. There was going to be a group of people. So there was a whole group of people. There were people who became complainers. They are serial complainers. And then went into the ears of the people. And then the rest of them, like those people. Everybody became like this. It's contagious. So it was a group of people that caused the rest of the people to complain like them. So when you have a whole group of guys in school, so if I have one guy, I say, listen, come here. Why'd you go to school? Yeah, okay. But when you do with a group of people, it's becoming a core. And that's a problem because now they have their own momentum and the whole, energy going on and it's contagious. How are you going to deal with that? So Moshe gives us a reason, a way to deal with it. And he says, ויאמר התפלל משה ואמר, קומו Hashem, please rise up, ויפוצו אויביך. Let's spread them out. Let them not be, we had a similar case like this in Migdal Bavel, the Tower of Babel. Spread out. You need to divide and conquer. You need to divide. Hashem, let them be spread out. Why? שהם קונסן של עבודה זרה, שאמר, פזורן של רשעים טובה להם, ולעולם ינוסו משנאיך, שהם משנאי, כמו שכתב, כל משנאי אהבו מות, וגם הם, תלמידי חכמים היושבים בכינוסו של עולם. So therefore, how do you deal with them? You deal with them, you need to separate them, you need to break them, right? And you need to bring, and then it says, and he added on, uvenocha yomar, right? Uvenocha yomar, shuva Hashem. So spread them all out, and then when this wave is going to pass, shuva Hashem. Uvenocha yomar, shuva Hashem. No? You don't say it when they bring the Torah back? No. B'mnuchatecha. Right? Shuvah Hashem, we say Hashem, then come back. Now, all of a sudden you realize, wait, isn't this what happened to us in Galut? What was the complaint about? We complained about we left our Jewish ways. We became Romans, we became whatever. We left Hashem. Yeah, we had the building. The thing was called Beit HaMikdash. But it didn't serve any point in our lives anymore. In our eyes, the Beit HaMikdash at the time was just a building that the Jews, had. But it had no meaning to it because we left Hashem. We didn't see God representation in that anymore. It wasn't about that. Maybe it was a national thing, but it wasn't about God. So Hashem says, okay, hey God, no problem. You know what? I'll spread you out all over the place. And when you're going to stop, I'm going to gather you back. But you need to stop. So it's interesting and it's scary. And it says, ועל רבבות אלפי ישראל שהם כ"ב אלף משבט לוי שלא היו בכלל מבטלי התורה. There was כ"ב אלף. How much is כ"ב אלף?
22,000.
22,000 of שבט לוי. They were not מבטל תורה. שבט לוי always learn תורה. They were not מבטל תורה. ולא הרחיקו את צמד בית הספר שהוא מחנה לוויה. מחנה לוויה is your yeshiva. Here you are caring, when you are in yeshiva and you're learning, you are basically the Levites and the priests and the Kohanim of modern day Judaism. Listen, I'm not a Levi, nor am I a Kohen. I mean, I would not mind be a Kohen or a Levi, to get a reserve call to come to Beit HaMikdash. I don't care if it's like cleaning poop over there, I don't know, whatever it is. Just to be in the Beit HaMikdash, man. Wow. I'll do that. Where can I pay? Anybody wants to sell his car? Yalla, tavi, yalla, ani mukhan. I'll buy it. It doesn't work like that. But let me tell you something. When you are sitting in Bet Midrash and learning, and the Shekhinah comes and hears you and dwells between, if you have a chavruta, and a chavruta needs to come all the time. Chavruta means chaver. You're elevating your relationship. Chaver is not just like, oh, buddy. Lachbor means to unite, to merge. Chavura, to merge. Lachbor, when I have army, chavura, when I'm joining together. I'm becoming one with that person. So spiritually, it's an enormous level of closeness that a person can feel to another human being. I'm chover with him. I'm merging with him. That's what a chaver. That's what we call a chavruta. Now, when you are sitting down and the Shekhinah comes and dwell in between you, just like a man and a woman, the Shekhinah comes and makes peace with them when they are in harmony. And by the way, I'm going to tell you something. If you want harmony in your life, there's only one way to get it. Michael, you know what's the way to get harmony? No discipline. Do a cut and paste of what I sent you today, and then do translate. The truth brings harmony. Truth. MS.
Wow.
That's what brings you harmony. The truth. The more truthful you'll be, the more harmonious you and your life would be. And I was really thinking about it for a while. What can bring harmony to my life? That's just the truth. There's nothing else. Not taking some kind of a workshop in some kind of a ashram in Bagram Airport. I don't know, like whatever. Nothing. Not smoking dope. Nothing. The truth. Now, if you have harmony in your life, all of a sudden everything looks different. You don't need to go to Yellowstone Park, get swept away over there to feel harmony. It is easier for you to feel harmonious when you go to nature, because then you realize that you really are not that important as you think you are. But then you forget it right away once you go on the plane back. So we need to spread them apart. The reason for the galut is that. The reason why we're still here is that. Now pay attention. So according to Rashi, the original plan was to put Bnei Israel 3 days after they started the journey, but because of that, they had to delay it in the desert, as we said. So the riffraff among our people said, you know what? We had enough with this man thing, the manna that comes from the heavens. We want meat. Why? Because the man was so good. The man was the ultimate food that whoever ate it didn't need to go to the bathroom. It completely absorbed in your body. So, and they explained that, they understood that they didn't have to go to the bathroom because it is really a bad bread. I mean, because regularly you eat and then goes one way, comes out the other way. This comes out one way, never comes out of my body. Well, there's something wrong with the food. And maybe because it had different abilities, because we know the man had an ability to taste like anything that you want it to be and so on. And now they says, "Ve'ata nafshenu yevesha en kol bilti haman me'einenu." Now our soul is already dried. We don't get any excitement looking at this man. We don't want it. Yuck. So they were able to pull all Bnei Israel after them with their complaints. Stay away from complainers. And therefore, after that, everybody came and cried in front of Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron and says, "We want to go back to Egypt because of the great variety of food that we have there." Right? We had this and we had that. So, because of this fight, Moshe Rabbeinu said, "You know what? Listen, I had enough. I just can't do this anymore. I had enough." And he says to Hashem that I cannot lead these people anymore alone. And if Hashem is not going to help him, listen, man, I'm going to die already. I can't take this. I can't do this. So this lack of satisfaction of the people from the man, and later on the disaster that came after that was leading to that, was really in a way, if we take a side one, was really in a way an analogy for the culture in which we all live in today. And first of all, let's look at this, the way we consume things and so on. So these are the complaints of the people that really express desire and not an actual need. Pay attention. Usually desire and a great need are two different, separate things. There are things that you need and there are things you desire. The problem is that most of what we need we don't want, and most of what we desire we don't need. So the people are complaining on lack of food. What do they want? Food? What did you need food? You have everything. We want meat, we want fish, we want vegetables, we want something, not only vegetables, we want vegetables that are specifically associated with Egypt. And these are complaints of lack of so on and so forth. We already had it before when they came out of Mitzrayim. But until then, there was no man. Now that you have the man, so what are you complaining? So God understands. Okay, you came out of Egypt, there was no food. I understand. Go back to Egypt. I understand that. I'm not going to punish you for that. I understand. There's a reason. But when now that you have man, that anything you want to taste, he said, "Oh, my goodness, it tastes like sushi and gyro." You put the man in your mouth, it tastes like this. That's how you did chesed. Let's say, for example, I don't know, let's say you eat some kind of a food that I never ate. So I said, I don't know, what did you eat that I didn't eat? I don't know, whatever that is. Let's talk about, I don't know, some crazy sushi, okay? Or let's say you ate Peking duck. So I said to you, "Zalman, can you do me a favor?" I said, "Sure. Anything for you, Rabbi." I said, "Next time we eat man, can you just have a kavanah for Peking duck?" So it was fine. You take the man, you put it in your mouth. I take the man, put it in my mouth. We have a kavanah. You have a kavanah Peking duck. Oh, I get the taste of Peking duck in my mouth, even though I never had it. That's the chesed that they did with the man. So it's amazing. But we don't want that. So now that you have the man, that you can do like amazing things with it. Now that you're complaining about food that you want in Egypt, now you're going to get whacked. Before I understand, you didn't have anything. You walked for 3 days, you didn't have any food, you didn't have any water. I understand, I got it, fine. No problem, I'll give it to you right away. But now that you have everything, I gave you the man, now you're complaining, now you're going to get whacked. That's how God works. So if you complain to me, "Oh, I'm too tired to get up in the morning." So, okay, what have you done all day long to be tired? So you're going to keep on complaining. What's going to happen is very simple. God is going to find a way to make you so tired, but real tired, that now it's going to be a problem. And if you like to sleep so much, Well, there's a place you can sleep forever, if you know what I mean. You understand what I'm saying? So that's exactly what we have, and so we have to understand. So the complaints don't really express here a real need for this for sustaining people, but just plain good old desire. So it's absolutely clear that this is also regarding many of the things that we acquire today in terms of being a consumer society, right? In our modern time, especially in countries that are called the developing countries and so on, where there's a lot of wealth and so on, that and I'll tell you, okay, so fine. You all know that I'm a vegan. I don't eat meat. I don't eat meat because I don't like meat, not because of pita or falafel or anything like this, right? But look, for example, of eating meat today, right? So which is really the centerpiece of last week's parasha, and probably is one of the most devastating and exaggerated form of consumption of food in terms of environment and so on and so forth that there is. Look, what does it take? I mean, for crying out loud, what do we do to the cows as well? But what does it take to raise that? And all of a sudden, people I cannot go without meat. Every single day I gotta have meat on my plate. I knew a guy that almost divorced his wife because he complained that she doesn't give him a steak every single day. For crying out loud, what is wrong with you, man? He was really about to divorce his wife. It's like lunatics. So, and this is what it is. I mean, everybody understands that meat consumption in the world is really out of control, and is not reasonable for the amount of what you actually need to eat. And believe it or not, there is a certain measurement that is recommended you to eat at least, but no more. But we all know that eating too much meat is not good for you. So, for example, in Sefer Gimatriyot of the Torah of Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, he calculates that in the Tochecha v'Kadosh Baruch Hu to Bnei Israel, for the desire of the meat, there is a hint for that, and that is 68 days a year you should be eating meat. That it is Shabbatot, Shabbat, and holidays. I don't think that there are 68 days a year that you don't eat meat. Probably not. I don't understand. I mean, if you love life so much and you want to experience life, so why don't you do something to prolong your life? I don't say become a vegan. I don't say that. But just eat meat on Shabbat and Chag. Mm-hmm. I mean, Shabbat, 68 days a year, eat meat. But it's just not the meat. It's the behavior behind the meat, behind the consumption. The meat by itself, yes, it would affect your health. Yes, we all know that. But it is something else that is more dangerous to your being than the actual meat itself. It's in the way you go after it, and the reason is that you will say, oh, it's my culture, it's my this, it's my baloney. It's what the patterns of behavior that lead you to consume that is the danger. You're going after a desire, not after a need. So and if you look at this, the complaints and so on and so forth generated or started to be generated by the people who were the outskirts of the people, not the riffraff, not the real, what we call today, middle ground, the center, right? Those are the people on the edges, on the extreme right, on the extreme left. And later on it spread all over. So you have people on the extreme right that say certain things, and there's certain people in the extreme left, but all of a sudden, if right now the extreme left took center stage, I hate to think what will happen which is bad, I will hate to happen when the extreme right takes a center stage. Well, that's all because of complaining that have nothing to do, like for example, with America. America is a great place to be in, man. It is a great place to be in. And we're turning it into a dump. Both left and right. Because there's no grounds for that. Because these are the people where in Hollywood, that they have uncontrolled desire, that they're sick in their minds, and sick in their behavior, and they get everybody sick, and that's the media and so on and so forth. So, all of a sudden, they start to desire, and the exposures of others, we are copycats, so those, what we call celebrities, which is nothing to celebrate about those idiots. There, we see something, and therefore, they do it, okay, so I want it also. Right? We copycats. You never stop saying, okay, what do I need? Just like I said to you before, we always say, can we do it? Can we do it? We cannot do it. We can do it. Can we send a man to space? We can conquer, or we cannot conquer Mars, or we can do this, or we cannot do that. You never ask yourself a moral question, should I do that, or should I not do that? You always say, can I go do something that I'm not supposed to do? Or I can't. So you say, of course I can. But you never ask yourself, should I do it? That's how you fail. You copy those lunatics who you call celebrities. There's nothing in their head besides hot air. You look inside their heads, it smells worse than a boxing glove of a guy that worked for 12 hours. It reeks. That's what we are, that we become. I mean, where does it say that a girl who gets engaged has to get a ring? Who, what? Some guy in De Beers do it? Or what, because Elizabeth Taylor, what's his name, Richard Burton gave it to her? Who said the wedding has to cost so much money? Who said that? Well, because somebody does it, so I have to do it. It's like certain community, without saying that we're in a certain community in Queens. Some of the rich people moved to a different place on Long Island. Something's stuck in their necks, right? Over there. So like idiots, everybody went in. Why? Because the rich people did. Everybody else went in. Because shalom, I want to be like them. I want to be like Mike. Not this Mike. Right, Mike? Who's the best in the West? All right. So that's the exposure. And another reason is the wrong consumption, that excessive also as a compulsion of buying things and consuming all these things. There's no ramification. That's a wrong consumption. We know because it says "Hadagar asher nochal b'Mitzrayim chinam," the fish in which we ate in Egypt for free. And that's a great example because there was a lot of resources, natural resources. They have to get fish. In other words, there's nothing free. I think even dying costs a lot of money. You know how much costs you a plot and the whole burial ceremony, and you go over there to this parlor to be buried. Everybody says everybody's crying and it's a whole ceremony. And then everybody goes back into forget about you 2 seconds later. You know how much that ceremony costs? You know how expensive it is to get buried? Nothing is free, man. Nothing is free. So everything you do, there is a price. So, and of course, needless to say about environmental damage that we cause, societal damage that we cause, and so on and so forth. And what's the result of that? Even societal, deterioration. We want to have free sex, free alcohol, free this, free drugs, free nothing. But would you understand that really nothing is free? When you realize that there is a price that you need to pay, most of the time you can't pay the price. You can't pay the price. But you will pay for it. You will pay for it. And that's why I said even freedom is not free. There's some dues you have to pay. You have to maintain it. You have to fight for it. You have to do something. There's no such thing as entitlement. And by the way, entitlement is a form of complaining. You don't give it to me because I'm entitled. Like in Israel right now, they have a big demonstration. They go in with tents into the parks. Of course, they would not do it in the winter. They'll do it in the summer. But they go to parks in tent because the prices of apartments are high. Okay, so what do you want to do? In Tel Aviv they're high, in the center they're high. Okay, let's go to the Negev, go to the Galilee. It's pretty cheap there. You get an apartment in Tzfat, I don't know, for like a million shekels, and in Tel Aviv will cost you 3 million shekels. Okay, who said you have to live in Tel Aviv? No, but they say, no, it's a given right, it's a basic right for a person to have a roof over his head. Yes, if he works and he has money to pay for it, but who said it has to be in Tel Aviv? Or in Ra'anana, or whatever it is. You feel entitled, you're complaining for no reason. Complain for no reason, get what? You're going to get whacked. So if you become a person like this, if the Torah says the result is v'yafutzo oivecha, you got to think about it very, very, very carefully. Very carefully. So therefore, and you should know, but becoming excessively an excessive consumer, there is a certain form of slavery to it, because you get enslaved with those things that you can't break away from it, right? Remembering this, the comfort of having all these luxuries and so on and so forth, it's all an illusion that really fades away very, very quickly once you realize you're becoming a slave of your own. You are the warden, you are the jail, you are the prisoner, because of those comforts that you have. Look how much do you have to work to get what you think that you could do without. So you ask yourself a question: why am I going to work? I'm going to work for what? To feed my habit? So it's pointless to go to work because I'm spending all the money on something that I don't really need. However, you should know that satisfying the human desire is impossible to do it in a natural way. So Moshe is really explaining this very, very, clearly when he's wondering how is he going to be able to feed all this great nation with so much meat every single day. It's like 600,000 men from the age of 20 to 50. How am I going to be able to supply meat so much, right? And if you really think about it, the need to supply meat and fish in the desert every single day for 1 month for 600,000 men like this is not that exaggerated than supplying 10 billion people that we're going to, on average, by the way, would consume about 100 kilo meat a year. That's 220 pounds of meat you eat a year. Now the problem is, going back to this, let's go back to the yeshiva now. So those people who come up with an excuse why I cannot learn, because I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. I have to go to work, I have to be like everybody else. They're making excuses for something they know they should not be doing. Those people, Moshe calls them in a very, very harsh words. How does he call them? Anybody remembers? Junior, remember? Let's go back. Vehi bin So'aron. No? Idan, any remember? Kuma Hashem, Yafutzo Evecha, Veyanusu Misanecha Mipanecha. Those who are in Bet Medrash and learning, which you all should be doing, that are looking for excuses that are not there, or putting a blame on situations that it should be, are called what? Mesanecha. Those who hate Hashem. And Yanusu Sonecha, these are the haters. You basically hate Hashem. And then when you're going to do so, when Hashem is finally going to rise, and you're going to think, you're going to realize that because you put yourself in that encampment, you're going to realize that your futsu, they're going to be spread out. So all this group of people that help you break away from yeshiva, you think that they are your buddies. At the end, you're going to realize that you are alone and lonely. Because there's no chaver, there's nobody to merge with you. Because chaver, real friend, would only come when there is substance to it. And the substance is Torah. Those who would tell you, oh come on, How long you been in yeshiva? You're learning 4 years, 5 years. Just leave it. Come, I'll give you a job. Oh, you say, oh, that's a nice friend. He's not your friend. He's your enemy. Not only is your enemy, he's Hashem's enemy. And not only he's Hashem's enemy, you're making yourself into one. So I understand you have to work. People have to work. And people have to work because of a small emunah. Things work different ways. If we're going to go into the world of quantum mechanics, there is a very real reason to believe, to understand that there is parallel universes. If you're going to live in a universe of emunah, not laziness, of emunah, Hashem, the Gemara says, if you're truthfully going to do so, Hashem will find a way. Hashem is not going to give you, I don't know what, a Maybach or a Ferrari. But you probably would not need to have a great need for a car to begin with, or whatever it is. It's going to be right around you. And you're going to see the bracha in everything that you have. And you're going to live fulfilled life because everything you do is full with emunah and understanding that that's from God. Just like the man. You're not going to complain, oh, my apartment is so like, I need something, change the scenery. Why you need to change the scenery? What's wrong with where you are? What's wrong with where you are? You need to change the scenery. Everybody's moving to, where is it moving? Everybody's moving to Phoenix. Everybody's moving to Boca. All right. And if you're going to move to Boca and you're going to stop learning, guess what? One day there's going to be a big tsunami and you'll look under the water. We're going to move to Phoenix. Somebody's going to close your tap. Which is probably going to happen. You're in Makom Torah, you're learning. What's wrong with you? Do what you need to do. Don't go after your desires. Because your desires would never fulfill. Have a great day.